This is George. I don't know his actual name, but he hangs out every now and then.
Today we're talking about the first ever guitar pedal created for the commercial market, the Gibson Maestro FZ-1 Fuzz. To the town of good old Nashville, Marty Robbins went one day. Forgive me, I'm on lunch break from work right now, but I really wanted to talk about this. So in 1958, there was a man named Link Wray who was a guitarist, and he was experimenting with his amps to try to get a distortion tone out of his sound. He would poke holes in the cone of the actual amp in order to get that distorted sound out of the guitar, but this was really all people were capable of doing at the time. He released a track called Rumble, which was the only, to this day, the only instrumental that is banned from radio play, because rumble at the time was a term slang for gang fight, and because the rough sound of the guitar they feared would incite teenage delinquency. Turns out they haven't heard of GWAR yet. It wasn't until 1961 when Marty Robbins, yes, the big iron guy from Fallout New Vegas, was recording his song Don't Worry. In the studio there was the engineer, Glenn Snoddy, spelled with 2 D's, and one of Nashville's A-team of session musicians, Grady Martin. And Grady Martin was recording his bass part when a transformer opened up on the mixing console and blew out, and caused the bass to have this really grungy, bludgeoning tone to it, this tremendous amount of distortion. Martin didn't like it so much, but Marty Robbins and Glenn Snoddy decided to keep it in the track anyway, and it blew up on the charts. This caused a lot of musicians to really want that sound, and even Nancy Sinatra went to the studio, Quonset Hut Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, to get that sound for one of her tracks. Unfortunately, the amp totally blew out and gave up shortly after the initial recording, so Glenn wasn't able to reproduce that sound, but he knew he'd have to do something. So he teamed up with a man named Regis Virgil Hobbs, and they reverse engineered the sound and created the first standalone device that would plug between the guitar and the amp to create that distortion. They sold it to Gibson, and Gibson commercialized it in 1962 as the Maestro FZ-1 Fuzz-Tone. It was a complete commercial failure. It didn't go anywhere at all until Keith Richards of Rolling Stones in 1965 used it to create the guitar riff for the intro of their song, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Since then, we've had countless companies creating a plethora of guitar pedals with tons of different sounds to them, and we have Glenn Snoddy, Regis Virgil Hobbs, Grady Martin, and a busted amplifier to thank for it.